For instance, we say in English, don't we, practice makes perfect. Now, obviously, this this can't be the case if we mean by practice that we're repeating something.
Yes.
But if we mean by practice the Greek praxis, which is concerned directly with act, not repetition, but with act.
Yes,
act.
sir.
Then to say it makes perfect doesn't refer to time at all. It's that upon the instant the act is performed, perfection is. Now, I'm sorry, but I use the word instant again, and I understand why that's awkward. But I think in our communication, the concern for the word here is one that surely is productive, because one can open himself to a word. And if one sees the word that way, then it appears that there's a whole host of phenomena which suddenly acquire a very magical significance. Not magical in the sense of enchantment, but they open a door which when walked into, immediately situates him in the crisis in such a way that he attains to this that you call the one alone, the unique.
Yes.
Which comes into being.
Yes.
Which comes into being.
So, sir, can we now go back or go forward to the question of freedom and responsibility in relationship? That's what we left off yesterday.
Right. Yes, and that was quoted from the chapter on freedom. Yes.
First of all, can we go into this question of what it is to be responsible?
I should like that.
Because I think that is what we are missing in this world, and what is happening now. We don't feel responsible. We don't feel we are responsible because the people in position, in authority, politically, religiously, are responsible. We are not. That is general feeling that's all over the world.
Because those over there have been delegated to do a job by me. Yes.
And scientists, politicians, the educational people, the religious people, they are responsible, but I know nothing about it, I just follow. That's the general attitude right through the world.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Solzhenitsyn, you follow the whole thing.
Right. One feels he gets off scot-free that way, because it's the other one's fault.
Yeah, so I make myself irresponsible. By delegating responsibility to you, I become irresponsible. Whereas now we are saying, nobody is responsible except you. Because you are the world, and the world is you. You have created this mess, you alone can bring about clarity. Therefore you are totally, utterly, completely responsible, and nobody else. Now, that means you have to be a light to yourself. Not the light of a professor or an analyst or a psychologist or the light of Jesus or the light of the Buddha. You have to be a light to yourself in a world that is utterly becoming dark. That means you have to be responsible. Now, what does that word mean? It means really to respond totally, adequately to every challenge. You cannot possibly respond adequately if you are rooted in the past. Because the challenge is new, otherwise it's not a challenge. A crisis is new, otherwise it's not a crisis. So, if I respond to a crisis in terms of a preconceived plan, which the communists are doing, or the Catholics or the Protestants and so on, then they are not responding totally and adequately to the challenge.
This takes me back to something I think that's very germane in the dramatic situation of confrontation between the soldier and the Lord Krishna in the Gita. Arjuna, the general of the army, says to Krishna, "Tell me definitely what to do, and I will do it." Now, Krishna doesn't turn around and say to him in the next verse, "I'm not going to tell you what to do." But of course, at that point, he simply doesn't tell him what to do. One of the great Sanskrit scholars has pointed out that that's an irresponsible reaction on the part of the teacher. But if I'm understanding you correctly, he couldn't have done otherwise.
When that man put that question, he is putting a question out of irresponsibility.
Of course, a refusal to be responsible. Exactly, a refusal to be responsible.
That's why, sir. Responsibility means total commitment.
Total commitment.
Total commitment to the challenge. Responding adequately, completely to a crisis. That the word responsibility means that. To respond. I cannot respond completely if I'm frightened. Or I cannot respond completely if I'm seeking pleasure. I cannot respond totally if my action is routine, is repetitive, is traditional, is conditioned. So to respond adequately to a challenge means the me, which is the past, must end.
And at this point, Arjuna just wants it continued right down the line.
That's what everybody wants, huh? Politically, look what's happening in this country and elsewhere. We don't feel responsible. We don't feel responsible to how we bring our children up.
I understand. I really do, I think. In our next conversation, I'd really like to continue this in terms of the phrase that we sometimes use, being responsible for my action. But that doesn't seem to be saying exactly what you're saying at all. As a matter of fact, it seems to be quite wide of the mark.
Quite
Good. Let's do that.